Yeah.
Yep.
Welcome everybody to episode 3 of the HARROW SPIRE. Again, brought to you by the D20 Cruise, because we're still super hyped for this, and y'all better be coming to this thing. No, go ahead and check out our description, our link in the description, and use the code WAYDUNGEON that's on the screen. You'll get $50 off your tickets and access to a whole bunch of cool, fun stuff that we're doing on the cruise. But anyway, let's just jump right into this one, because we kind of left off on a real fun note at the end of episode 2. Paprika had just helped you guys kill and bring in some guys. I think it was a hobgoblin and a bunch of other little goblins.
I thought one was like, yeah.
Yeah, and you guys just drag them into the room and kind of like close the door again. It's been odd because while there are people going up and down the hallway, there are no real guards per se. But the last thing you have heard is that Sir Gravlax is apparently fending off some of the ogres down the hallway. So this is kind of a let's move quickly sort of moment. So we have just pulled everybody in this room. We are starting to try and figure out what we can get from everybody, like what they're like holding, what they're wearing, what's going on. So just a simple, normally I'd ask for an investigation roll, but really you guys have just these 3 bodies that you're able to just kind of look through. So I'm just gonna give it to you. You find that there's a handful of different types of knives on all of them, so realistically, if all of you wanted a dagger, you could probably take one. Even though I think some of them are more like kitchen-y utensils, so think like one of you has like a chef's knife and the other one has like the chopper or whatever, but they all count as daggers nonetheless. There's one of them was holding a pretty large pot, so I don't know if one of you wants to use that. There's some makeshift light armor on all of them, so you could kind of, I think it might be a little bit harder for our 8-foot tall bird friend here, but I think the other 3 of you could probably fashion together some kind of light armor for yourselves if you had to. Okay. Do it quickly. And there one of them was holding like a big tray. Let's see here. Paprika has gone quickly to tear the hobgoblin's leg off and fashion a club out of it, but Jesus. That's just the brutal side of what's going on in this world. But other than that, I think one of you has. The other thing you would find is the hobgoblin did have a short sword on him.
I imagine Paprika's probably taking the short sword.
No, Paprika is using this club that she made out of the hobgoblin's leg.
Right.
I would imagine Shallot would probably grab the pot lid and use it as a shield, and then one of them had we'll say a meat tenderizer, her hammer or something, so she would have pot lid, meat tenderizer.
Yeah, we can do that. That's fine. They have all this stuff. Yeah, that'd be fun. Makes sense. There's a bunch of them have little sacks of spices on them too. This is them getting ready for a dinner.
Pepper will take a bag of spice.
All right, yeah, sounds good.
I like that.
But yeah, you can just add you can add stuff to your sheets if you want, but just you have a little sack of spice. Various whatever this is, paprika spices. Right. And like I said, if you can wear light armor, if y'all would like to add light armor to your sheet, that'd be fine. Makeshift, very silly light armor, but
I guess I'll just take a dagger.
Sounds good. Yeah, just stuff. But
Just something to show Gravlax that I'm gonna tell Gravlax I killed this guy and took his dagger.
it's perfect. Uh, so it hasn't been a lot of time, but it's been long enough that you're like, okay, you probably have to start moving, and I would say that like as you guys are getting ready to go, Paprika goes to like stand up and then stumbles and kind of like hits her knee, and you would notice this probably before anybody Shallot.
She would probably, come down to check on her and be like, try to give her like a lift up.
You want to give me a medicine check?
Yeah. That is a 10.
You're like quickly scanning her, and she's kind of like leaning in a way that like you don't normally see her lean, even when she's wounded. Like she's normally pretty like battle ready or hardened, or like this is somebody who like you've watched like lead into battle before and never been worried about what's going on. But there's something about her eyes, there's something about the way she's having trouble standing. She just looks weak. And you probably would you would realize that she needs some kind of help. You don't know what it is on a 10. You're not a healer.
I feel like in that instance, though, if that was the feeling that I got, she would immediately look to Pepper and be like, Paprika needs some kind of help. Is there any type of healing you can give her? She's struggling a little bit.
Yeah, of course. Pepper would definitely walk over to kind of see what she could notice, whether or not she just sort of needed a heal, or whether or not there was, something like she was poisoned, or just sort of a.
Do you want to give me a medicine check?
Sure, I can do that.
Probably with help this time. So on advantage, because Shallot could kind of show you what she was looking at.
Yeah.
Right. And
that's good. Maybe we'll get better.
Nope.
No.
So 15.
So as Shallot kind of explains that like she looks weak, and Paprika's kind of like, it's like she's there, but it's almost like you can see her collecting herself. It's one of those things where like when somebody's sick and like the world's just kind of passing by them for a moment is happening, and you can see where she was like pulling apart the the hobgoblin. While there is blood there's something else. There's like this congealed part of it. It's almost like you can see that she's been coughing up blood. It's a little splatter on her cheek or on her chin. And you're looking at all of her cuts, and there's while most of them look like she's been in a fight you're used to looking for cuts that like wounds that come from battle.
Right.
But then there's one that is just below her neckline on her back. It's different. It's been made on purpose. And it obviously had poison in it. So at some point she's been stabbed in the back in a literal sense. And poisoned.
Okay. On that, I would relay that to Shallot, kind of excuse me, pointing out the open wound, saying, like, this looks different. It looks like she could have been poisoned.
While you're saying that, I think she would regain herself for just a moment, cough a bit, and she'd be like, that's why it's so hard for me to move. That makes sense. Okay. We'll get you all to Gravlax.
Seeing that, Shallot would try to do, because one of the features of my lay on hands is says that I can use 5 hit points to either cure a disease or neutralize a poison affecting the creature.
Mm-hmm.
Can I attempt to try to use that to deal with whatever's, or would I have to identify what the poison is?
You might have to identify the poison, but you could try and see how it goes.
Pepper does have lesser restoration too.
Nice.
So what would I need to do for that?
You'd use 5 points of your lay on hands.
Okay.
And I guess Pepper is going to cast lesser restoration.
Yeah.
Is
So
that
she'll be like,
like
it's okay.
a double?
I imagine she's like, it's okay. Like, I can take care of it. I've read all about this. You prepared me for this just in case this happened. So, she would just touch her, and you would again see Shallot's like mixture of different spices and seasonings, type of like a scent on the air as her magic starts to like touch her and try to neutralize her poison.
Right.
Nice. I think she would look a little bit. It's almost like she has color to her for just a moment, and she's gonna grab your hands while you're doing the thing, and she's gonna like look at you very, very sternly, and she's gonna say, "We're walking into something that you need to not be a squire for anymore." And she's gonna like pull you so that like you can like take a knee next to her. And she's going to say, "You're right. I have prepared you. So I need you to be prepared and do what you're supposed to do now." And she doesn't have a sword or doesn't have a blade. So she's just going to dig her nails into your shoulder. And in a very loud, very unapologetic way for the moment, she's going to yell and say, "Take your oath here," and use you to stand up, so that now she's leaning on you but holding you down and like forcing you to stare at her while you take her oath.
I feel like in Shallot's head she'd be like, I guess I am ready for this, but in her mind I guess she kind of always thought that Paprika was gonna still be there, and she was just gonna be like, in some stupid way, I guess she always thought she was just gonna be her squire forever, and it was just gonna be this thing. But she would remember, having lost her mom, Paprika taking her in, Okra's family taking care of her, and the Great Frostburn War and everything that it did to this nation. And she would be like, I need to protect these people. And she would, on her knee, she would look up at Paprika, and I had to write this down so that way I wouldn't forget what I wanted to say.
Okay.
Because at this point is when she would take, I guess, like her you said her family name or whatever, like whatever name that she would have, because before she didn't have one. So she would say, I, Shallot Mirepoix, will be the base that sweetens the world and keeps others safe. I will embody the 4 F's of Flavortown. She's taking the oath of flavor. Freshness. I will never back down from new experiences and adventures. Flavor. I will be big and bold in all areas of my life. I will loudly praise the accomplishments of others. Fire. Hard work and perseverance are the keys to success. Every day is a trial by fire. And lastly, and she would look around at everyone, family. The people you meet, cook, and eat with as you travel may not be your blood. They'll always be your family. I will use all of these things to protect our people and put an end to this dispute. You have my word, Paprika. Because when you're here, and she would touch her heart, your family.
It's beautiful. It's sad because I knew we were going to do this, but it's still just as funny as it she could have possibly been. Okay.
Well, the flavor paladin.
Okay. I think Paprika would smile and just say that was perfect. And she would put this giant hobgoblin leg that has been shaved down just a little bit into a club on her shoulder and push herself up so she's standing. You can see that she is kind of dizzy. And she's going to say, okay, let's get you all to Gravlax, and he can take it from here. And she would turn and just gesture for the door to be opened. And everybody here knows that in any other situation, she would have kicked this door open and took off down this hallway by herself.
Yeah. So, like, feeling all the weight of this, like Shallot would, like I said, pot lid, meat tenderizer on her shoulder, push the door open and be like, come on, guys. We gotta do this. We gotta go.
Anybody else have anything to say before we rush down this hallway?
Oh,
Yeah, I feel like
how
Pepper
long
would definitely, go ahead.
how long have we been here?
Short rests worth of time.
Awesome.
Short rest of time.
Correct for the time. Nice.
Okay.
Kind of subtly as we're walking out of the room, I'm not going to say anything, but I'm just going to use detect magic on Paprika. Like, they've already done their stuff looking for the poison, but I just want to see if this is like a natural poison or if there's like some kind of magical aspect to it. And so I'm just going to detect magic on Paprika as we're walking out the door.
Ooh, I like that.
Roll history.
Okay. Seven.
You can't place the moment, but this is something that you have seen before. There is a magic to it. There's something. It reminds you kind of the the magic that masks things, or that subtle magic that that different wizards will use to kind of manipulate what it's supposed to look like. This is like an assassin's kind of magic. There is something to it.
Like a veil or a glimmer, something to like.
Yeah, something.
Make it seem like something else.
And it's something that you can't. It's something you would have to think on.
Okay.
You'd have to play, but you can't place it just right this moment. There's something there, and it would probably sit in your mind of like, this is a clue to a puzzle that you would want to figure out.
Okay. So Wilbur would keep that in the back of his mind. He'd be kind of thinking on that and he'd follow everyone else out the door.
Yeah.
I mean, is that why like lesser restoration didn't work? Because there's.
It's more like something like lesser restoration and her lay on hands. It worked to an extent. It made it so she didn't die in this room. But this is like something that has gotten through her system. And this is something magically like charging through her body. And so it's like, while you all did like kind of like push the embers down, it's not like you could put the fire out. So she knows that she's on a clock. And she's just trying to get you to where you need to be safe. Before the clock kind of like is finished ticking. The hallway is exactly how our little Barry described. It has a little whine to it, and then you can see a commotion. There are, these 4 large ogres, and there is Sir Gravlax, bruised, more purple and brown than green at this point, standing behind 2 overturned tables, holding out a sword, screaming that he's not going to go down without taking all of these people with him. There's nothing that is going to get through this table without it falling to him. There's goblinoids drooling and wide-eyed, like just kind of like poking with different spears and long weapons around the ogres. And behind Gravlax is a giant, large dead ogre that he is using as to push to the back of him, so nothing can get behind him. And that is up against this large wall. And he has basically made himself a choke point where only one ogre could fit around the tables at once to get to him. And anything that comes in is dead. At his feet are a couple dead goblins as well. And through all of this, it looks like right behind him, there's just a line of goblins going in and out of this room. They've started chopping up the dead goblins, taking pieces of the dead ogre where they could, and putting him in buckets and bringing him to this other room. And this is where you all kind of run in on. Paprika at the forefront, half naked with just this large, bloody stump of a leg. And she looks at all of it. Her and Gravlax make eye contact. And she like nods. And she just takes a swing at one of the ogres that doesn't seem to notice. Like, she swings and hits him and runs to it, but it's almost like everybody cheers on, thinking that these are other people going to like try and kill Gravlax, until they realize that she's now taking sides with him. So there's like a moment where like, and it would strike you as odd. This is something that's supposed to strike as odd. Like, it's almost like none of these ogres are paying attention to you until they have to.
Yeah.
But now you guys are corralled behind two tables with little pointy things sticking at you. But Gravlax is there, and he would kind of turn and look and go, where did you come from? I woke up, I was hanging upside down.
We were escorted to one of the cells as well. Luckily, with the help of Kara, using her wild shape, we were able to get out, free Paprika, and we made our way this way, hoping we were going to find you.
Gravlax, how did you get out? If you were hanging, who freed you?
They cut me down and said I was going to be taken to a kitchen, and I killed it.
Good job.
I was in a line, and they were bringing me down here, so I kicked a table over. They were eating at this table. You can see like bits of food scattered throughout but the food all looks weird. This is obviously like cut up pieces of humans that has been fashioned to look like other foods.
I feel like
While
Pepper.
I'm asking all this, oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I feel like Pepper would just kind of throw up, just like looking around at all this, just in the corner.
In the corner. Okay. Roll.
Well, I mean, wherever we are, just
Yeah,
just
no, that's cool. Roll me perception on disadvantage while you're doing that.
Okay.
Child would be patting your back, like, it's okay.
I think Gravlax would look at Kara and like nod to you. Like, you get like a solid nod from him, like, good job.
16 perception.
Under the ogre's like dead arm, like the opposite side of where the goblins are taking pieces off of, so because they're taking parts of his leg, there is a large grate that goes into the wall of the mountain.
I see. So while I'm throwing up, I noticed this grate.
Yeah. You needed a 15 plus on disadvantage, and you got it. So good job.
Good job.
So I guess while Pepper's throwing up, she's in between, right? About like air. She's gonna be like, oh, and there's this great thingy over there, and she, and she
Pepper, you're amazing. This could be our way out.
I'm not going through that thing. Don't you see all the dripping still?
Pepper, do you want to stay here and get turned into whatever this nastiness is on the table? Or do you want to crawl through the grate?
Oh, God.
I think that as you say that, you can say what you were going to say to Gravlax, by the way.
Yeah, while they're
Wilbur.
doing all this, how many enemies are between us and Gravlax?
You guys are now next to him. Like, you guys are behind the thing. Like, you guys got escorted by the to the table by Paprika. Like I said, it's like nobody noticed you until they had to.
Okay.
There's obviously something going on.
Okay, so while they're doing all this, I'm just helping Gravlax fend off the stuff in front of us. So I'm just gonna be throwing out like I'm gonna just use my like Ray of Frost and just be attacking stuff in front of us, just helping Gravlax hold the line while they're doing whatever's going on behind us.
Awesome. As they're kind of talking, and you can see like these goblins, like these buckets of like things like going into this room, and it's like a big, and the room has like this like fire to it, like the light, and you hear this like large voice, and you just hear, "This meat is dead! No, no, not the dead ones! Bring me the live food!" And as this like voice just echoes, you can see a bunch of the goblins fall and drop their buckets and like start like scattering, and that's when they like turn and like look at you guys with like it's like their face, like their eyes are like now like centered on you guys.
Nope.
And as they get forward, the rays of frost go off. You have Gravlax that punches a hole in one of them, like with his sword. You'd see like 10 or 15 of the goblins just like stop and realize that it's really hard to bring you guys down. And then they all turn, and it's like their heads just kind of cock and look at the smaller of the 4 ogres in front of you. And they all just jump on the ogre and start to like roll him into the room.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Kara speaks Goblinoid. So in the midst of all of it, you'd hear them just kind of chanting, like this small little thing, and it's just like, stonework, 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 and they just keep saying it over and over again, the word stonework, and they're just trying to like bring this thing to, and then as they get to the doorway, you just hear, "King, king, king, come on, come on, come on, come on, to the king, to the king, to the king," as they like just like push this live ogre, screaming and batting some of them away. Like he's fighting, but he's obviously not fighting as hard as he should be.
What the heck?
That's weird. There was a grate?
I was like, while all this is happening, then since we heard that, I feel like Shallot would be trying to work on the grate, like trying to get that. Like if I could roll athletics, I guess, for that or whatever.
I would need an athletics check from you, and I'm gonna roll a couple dice for hits here and there, and I would need to know what everybody else is doing. Other than Wilbur, who has said, every once in a while you'd see, another spear kind of come up and like stab one of the like either Gravlax or Paprika. They're getting hits in here and there, but not heavy ones. These are like, again, you all are surrounded by this like crowd, and it seems like the ogres are all kind of in this standoff state because they're still kind of worried about the one that kind of fell, and nobody wants to. Something's going on at the same time. Like it's almost like nobody wants to show weakness here at all.
So between bouts of air, right? Pepper's still working on the breathing part. Can she use? Because like I guess she's noticed that they respond very well to somebody screaming and yelling at them. Can she use the thermaturgy, but like give it to Gravlax, like because it's a touch thing? It says technically your voice, but is it possible that I could?
It's a you thing. You would have to do it.
I would have to do it. Okay.
You got this.
Right. Yeah. And in that case, she would use it, I guess, on herself and kind of, a few deep breaths and be like, okay, you're going to channel Paprika. You can do this. You can do this. Like she's trying to like muster up like that feeling of what it must be like to be a great warrior.
Can I give her guidance because she seems to be giving herself a pep talk?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you can give her some nice words.
Yes, and so she's like, okay, and she's gonna like yell like, you dirty, worthless goblin, you. She's like, be afraid, be very afraid.
Mm-hmm.
What else? What else would she say? She's gonna like trying to like not to panic.
Sal's gonna look up at Pepper and be like, or we'll smash their knees.
We will smash your knees.
All right, give me intimidation on advantage because of thaumaturgy, and add a D4 to it for guidance.
Oh my god!
I love that.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Intimidation. All right. Okay. Let's try this again.
Yep.
Damn.
And then a D4
Add
for
the
guidance.
D4 for guidance.
This is so bad.
Damn.
What'd she get?
11.
11. Okay. Yeah, I think you say it, and hold on.
I was like, yeah, that about checks. Like,
So like two of the goblins kind of like they drop their spear. One of them drops their spear and kind of like moves back a little, and the second he kind of shows any signs of weakness, the other goblins start to like they look at him real fast, but then one of the ogres just grabs him and just holds him up and goes, "I've got one," and turns and just like fastball specials him into the kitchen door.
Damn.
And as this is happening, you can see other like people coming down the hall with like big pots and other things. Like this is like a constant flow, a stream of other goblinoids and hobgoblins and like creatures that are just like moving through. And somehow this has now just become like a centerpiece of whatever madness is going on here. What did you get on your athletics roll, by the way?
Only an 11.
Explain how you're trying to get into this thing.
I mean, I imagine, like, if it's a grate, does it have, like, kind of, like, little slits in it where she can get her hands and just...
Okay, so while you're sitting here going... You're sitting here, like, you put your hands in and you're like... like, making all these noises. It starts to echo into the mountainside. And nothing happens yet. I need another athletics check from you. But as things begin to happen, I would say, Wilbur, you're up there with Gravlax and Paprika, kind of fending the line, and you'd be the first one to notice, like, as that goblin gets like fastballed and the ogre turns, it's like something happened, and now the ogres are starting to like try and close in. One of the ogres like hits the table and realizes that it moves.
Oh.
And so like the one ogre's like, "Hey, it's not that bad," and like rips the table, like starts to move the table to the side. And like, so it's like there's a whole section now that like they're gonna start to close in on you guys.
Seeing that, can I attempt to cast grease over the area where they're standing, so that way they have to make a dex save of a 10?
Yeah, let me make a dex save for these two ogres real quick, and I'm gonna say that some of the goblins slip and slide, and the other ones don't.
Yeah,
but one of the ogres immediately just hits the floor, and he starts getting stepped on, and other goblins are climbing over him and like leaping off his belly to try and get to you guys. This would be let me Let me get a to hit roll from you, Phantom.
Okay.
For I think you were saying you were casting
Ray of
Frost. Yeah. Give me a good to hit roll with a Ray of Frost.
That's an 11.
It's enough to hurt. It's enough to hit a goblin. So I'm gonna say one of them like leaps, like the one that leaps off his belly, just Ray of Frost to the face, like pulls him down out of the air, and he's now like he's got like this frozen piece of his face on, and he's like and just starts to like freak out and like claw at his face, and the ogre that's on the ground looks at him and just grabs him and starts to put him in his mouth like he's gonna eat the goblin, just alive. And then this is the moment where everything starts to happen. Like all the goblins, all the ogres, they all start to like go mad with like hunger. Like they start screaming at each other. Any hand that can grab one to like eat one. The ogres are now trying to eat the goblins live. The goblins are turning on the ogres. Like this is becoming like this like weird like cannibalistic feast. And all the goblins start like screaming, and as another one of the ogres barrels down the hall, he just says, "It's them that the king wants," and like starts pointing at you guys. Paprika would look at Gravlax. She looks spent, and she's gonna look at Gravlax and be like, how do you feel?" Gravlax, who again is more black and blue and purple than green at this point, just bruised up. Like he looks like an old banana. Like, and he's just gonna look over and go, I don't know where else to go from here. And he's gonna turn and like look at Shallot and look at Wilbur, and he's gonna be like, "Can you all get out? Do you know where anybody else is?"
No.
I don't. I would be trying to actively get this grate open. I feel like trying while saying
Gravlax is gonna put his hand on your shoulder, Wilbur, and go, "Do you know where Sage is?"
I don't.
I saw him back in the main room earlier, remember? Like just briefly.
Yeah, but we have no clue where he could be
beyond
at this point.
He's gonna look around and be like, "Just make sure you all get out. You can get out. Hold the line then." And he's gonna turn and like, I think he's gonna like pass you his sword if you want it, Wilbur.
Yeah, I'll take. Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna say, "Give me this," and take the little dagger you have. And he's gonna like, and he's gonna like look at one of the other ogres that's on the ground and just slam the dagger into his chin while he's like eating a goblin, so it pierces both of them. And he's gonna look up and go, "I don't have magic," and just pull the dagger back out. What's your second athletics check?
It was still only an 11.
So on the second or third like push in the echo, you see two little green eyes looking back at you from this other side of the grate, and you just hear to, and you just see a goblinoid like poke his face out, and he looks terrified. This is not like any of these other goblins. Like all these other goblins have like, you can tell they have like these yellow, very like harsh eyes. This is a goblinoid at best, not a goblin. And at the worst, he might be some kind of weird rock beast. Like, he looks like he is just from the mountains, if you get what I mean.
Ooh.
And he kind of like looks at you and he goes, you're food for the king. Don't be food for the king. Don't listen to their songs.
Trust me, I don't want to be. That's why I'm trying to get this open so we don't have to be.
He looks around and goes, run, and he like puts his hand on the cage.
Run? Which way? Which way do we run?
You come with me, meet Benjamin?
Sure. Benjamin sounds lovely. Which way do we need to go to find Benjamin?
And he like pulls back the grate, and it slides and starts to like move, and you can tell he's like having trouble with it.
I'm helping him while he's doing it.
The more you push on it, it's like the harder it goes. It's like a slow dragging motion, and as the noise of the grate kind of like kind of pulls open, you see all the goblins start realizing what's going on, and they start to like tumble and crowd in on each other.
Wilbur's gonna use stone. Wilbur's gonna use stone blast, and it lets me. It's the same move I was using before, but I can pull rocks from the wall or ceiling. So I'm just gonna, instead of trying to hit anyone with it, I'm just gonna use it to pull these big chunks of rocks from the ceiling and kind of like wall us off and just give us some more cover to buy us more time.
Nice.
So he's just gonna reach up and just kind of pull these two big boulders out of the wall and ceiling and drop them down. If any of the goblins get hit by it, they take some damage, but it's more to just create a barrier and make it so Gravlax isn't trying to cover as much by himself. And
I think Gravlax would smile as he takes a step back, and these two giant boulders just poof, and like slam in on you guys, and he'd just laugh. He'd be like, "I love this fucking magic shit he does," and he's gonna like look at you and like nod, and then look at Paprika and realize that he's holding her up. Like he's like got her on one, and she's just like holding out this like the last thing she just did was basically like, oh, like if she could have impaled this goblin, she would have. But basically, it's just a goblin dead on the end of a blunted leg of a hobgoblin, and she's just beat it to death at this point. But she's using like that goblin as like the axe head of this thing now. It's just becoming a larger weapon as the more she kills things with it.
I love her.
So, Kara is going to cast Fog Cloud on like the main entrance into this room.
Nice.
To where it's not on Gravlax and Paprika, but it's making it hard for more people to come in.
Mm-hmm.
And that way, when more enemies come in, they have a harder time getting to them, kind of slowing it down.
I love it. Gravlax looks at Paprika, looks at this little tiny hole that you all are supposed to climb into, realizes that they could do it. I mean, it's a big enough hole that an 8'2" bird could get through, but it's also it looks like a harder trek than Paprika is going to be able to make. And Gravlax kind of looks at her, and he picks up some of the he rips some of the cloth off one of the ogres and kind of wraps her in it. And he looks at you guys and goes, "Okay, so you all get out, and I'm going to take her out the front door."
Okay.
you're barely standing as it is.
You don't think I can do it? And he's going to poke you. And this is him being like, you know what he's doing.
Wilbur, we know what's happening.
And he pushes into you, and he's like, you don't think I'm going to do it? You don't think I'm going to see you at the end of this? You're going to be a squire forever.
They will.
He smiles.
Being a knight is too much work. If I don't stay a squire forever, then I'll have to do stuff like this.
He lets go of you and goes, "Man, fuck, you're right." And he looks at Paprika. Paprika would lean into Shallot, and she's gonna whisper to you, very weakly, and she's gonna say, "You can't go back without the root. That's what we came here to get. It's not because of what we told you all. It has to heal the Lord's wife."
I didn't realize. Okay.
You can't go back without it.
All right.
The honor of my name's attached to it.
You know I would never let you down.
And she's gonna smile, and like her head will like touch yours, her forehead will touch your forehead, and then she's gonna lean back, and he's gonna like start to like walk forward, like along the edge of the fog cloud, so that he can go back up the hallway you all came from, and you guys can start getting in this slightly claustrophobic hole in the wall. That may or may not have drippings all over it. I don't think Barry would be too happy about this, but he's just gonna go and make a nest in your hair, Kara, and the whole way through.
Wilbur's gonna yell to Gravlax, "You better make it back to camp. I'll have a bunch of new magic to show you by the time you get there."
Oh.
Give me a perception check as you yell back to him.
"12."
You have to read his lips as he yells back to you, because he's now a little bit outside of the fog cloud range. He's pushing into what looks like he's just kind of moving through the goblinoids, the goblins that are kind of like tearing themselves apart at this point. And as you read his lips, it kind of looks like it makes out the word "save Haddock."
And I'll just kind of nod to him.
And his eyes look a little bit confused as you nod. And then he just turns and pushes through, because Paprika starts to limp a little bit more. And it's something that you're going to have to think on, I guess.
As everyone else starts going in the hole, Wilbur will be mumbling to himself, and he'll just, if anyone's really paying attention, you'll just hear him say something along the lines of like, "Find a way to help him. Gotta find a way to help him."
Damn.
Roll a D100, Wilbur.
"24."
That's pretty low.
Yeah.
I think that you would feel a reverberation through your body, and you'd understand what that meant for later.
Okay.
As you guys start pushing through. This little goblinoid thing, I mean, and I say little, I mean like 2.5 feet max tall thing. This thing can like walk where you all are crawling through this tunnel. And he is just like looking back at you, and he's like kind of looking, and he sees the larger Pepper kind of in the background. Her eye kind of like glints in the darkness a little bit, because she is a vulture. And he goes, that's friends too, right?
She's really good people.
I feel like Pepper would try and smile.
God help
Like
her.
To kind of show she was friendly.
Yeah.
Like a giant beak, like.
I think you would smile, and he'd smile back, and it looks like a broken chainsaw. Like, it's just like fucking rattling teeth throughout the middle. Like, all of them are like just fucked up, like little tiny like things, and half of them are missing, half of them are black. They just looks like he might eat rocks. He just doing his thing, and he goes, Benjamin will know what to do, though. It's going to be okay. Benjamin knows a lot of things. He is much smarter than us, and bigger.
Oh, how much bigger? A lot bigger?
He looks over at the bird. Bigger than me.
Oh, size of my bird friend bigger?
I don't know. She's scary, and I only see her face.
Oh, she's not scary. She's very nice. But this Benjamin sounds really cool. I'm excited to meet Benjamin.
If everybody is anybody actually claustrophobic? Did any of your characters have that? Did we decide if anybody? Okay, great. No.
Wilbur is not like completely claustrophobic, but he does not like being in the dark, and so if anyone was a little unsettled, it would be Wilbur, but he's not like
okay
completely freaked out.
Then I don't really. I'm not going to take it from you, but if anybody else wants to give me like a nature check, that might be something that we could work here. But Wilbur can't do it because he is much more calming himself down as he moves forward through this very very tight, like black, dark place, as you all really just following these two little glowing goblin eyes through the darkness at this point.
You said a nature check?
Yeah, if you want to give me a nature check.
Each of us?
Whoever, anybody, sure.
That was a 9.
Well, you're in a dark hole.
Mine's an 8.
You're in a dark hole too.
Yes!
There we go.
Yeah,
That's what I mean.
Okay. This makes sense. Kara, our druid, while everybody else is pushing through a dark hole, you realize that you are moving into the base of a mountain, and you can feel little steam pockets and heat start to give off the stone, which means that you know that you are going closer to what must be one of the volcanoes in this mountain range.
Hey, does Benjamin like lava?
Spicy water.
Spicy water, I like that better.
It keeps us warm and safe, and it is bright. And as he says bright, his teeth kind of illuminate a little bit for just a second.
Spicy water has lit your teeth.
He just kind of giggles and then walks away. Kind of keeps walking, makes a little turn.
Fantastic. It's about to get very warm.
Noted.
Noted.
Is this safe? This doesn't feel spicy water. Sounds safe.
Guys, I don't know, but I feel like we're out of options here. Maybe we get there and then assess the situation. And
Spicy water is safer than being like. I agree.
yes.
Whatever it is, we just need to get moving.
You guys are pushing through, and the small area that you're in, there's a glow, and a little bit further ahead, and it begins to open up. And as you guys kind of like, not push your way out of the wall, but like, you know what I mean? Like you guys kind of like get into an area where you can stand. And there's this soft glow of, it looks like torches from below. Very, very faint light. So your eyes have adjusted to the darkness at this point. You start to get like little visions. It almost looks like there are dwarven statues and walkways around you. After all, these mountains were a dwarven hold before the Coldburn Wars, or the Frostburn Wars, and the ogres did take it from them. So this is now maybe a much older, more ancient part of this mountain range that you're in. You can hear some movement here and there, but not a lot. There are other glowing eyes kind of like off in the distance, kind of that like look at you and then kind of go back to what they're doing. Other goblinoids. As this little guy he goes, "Oh, Nolan," and he pats his chest.
Shallot would, nod to him, and she would tap her chest and say, "Shallot."
He like, kind of like bites his lip a little bit and goes, "Shallot," and like makes it. You realize that he's like speaking your language barely at this point.
That makes sense. She would nod. Good job. Yes.
And he points at Shallot and goes, "Human?"
I guess halfling, but I mean, like.
So no.
So she would. He probably wouldn't understand the word halfling,
Mm-mm.
so she would just be like, "Yes, but small."
And he starts clapping. Benjamin. Yes, Benjamin Human. And he turns around and starts marching down the hallway.
Okay. All right.
As you guys are moving down the hallway, there is... You like wouldn't see it at first, but then the darkness looks like it moves all at once. And there is a tall Yeti in like against the wall. It looks malnourished. It looks like it has mange. Like there are big pieces of its hair missing. And it kind of like looks at you all, looks at Nolan and shakes, and then like sits back down and goes back to like picking at little pieces of like bread it has in like this bowl. And I think Barry would look at it and be like, and then like look around, and then Barry started to climb down off of you at first, and then see the Yeti and be like, no, stay on your shoulder.
No.
Aww.
It's not the time to go scouting. You get to another like archway that has like 2 torches on it. Only one of the torches is lit, and it's like embered just barely. But it looks like it at one point probably had a lot more to it. And it leads into a room that is... It looks like it probably was like a family's house at one point. Because there's like a bed up here that's made of like stone with like some stuff on it. Like this is definitely like a dwarven like dwarves lived here at one point. But everything has been moved so that like the center of the little room looks like it is supposed to be almost like a throne room type of deal, or like a receiving room. And there is a large table with like this. He's human, but it almost looks like he looks like the ogres. And he's like large and fat, and he has like big like sunken in cheeks. He looks kind of like a Mongol, like the stereotypical idea of what a Mongol looked like back in the day, and like an ancient like Genghis Khan type of idea. And he's got like raggedy hair to him, so not as like cool as their hair was. And he's like looking, and he's got these bowls, and there are a couple goblins that come up, and every once in a while he like pulls some of the slop or whatever's in this bowl out and like puts it in their bowl, and he like leans in and says something in goblinoid back to them, which, Kara, you would hear him say, "Bring to your family." And like the goblins like thank him and then like kind of run off. And he has a bugbear sitting next to him that has... It's dirty, but you could tell it's supposed to have pink fur. But it's like... It almost looks like a... Like this bugbear, for better or worse, looks like a very, very used plushie. Like it's that dirty kind of look to it that like a very loved plushie. But it has like the pink fur to it. And very sunken like dead eyes at this point. And he looks up and goes, Nolan, we can't take more in. No food. But bring to your family, and gives him like a big old bowl of like slop and gruel. And Nolan goes, friends, and takes the bowl and like starts to like walk out the room.
So I guess like I'm getting an idea from this that they're having a hard time getting food.
Yeah. Before you can do anything, he greets you. You all speak common, yes?
Yes.
Yes.
He like gives you the thumbs
Wilbur's
up.
very much in his own world. Like he's here and he's not really paying attention. Like he's letting Shallot and Pepper, they're the social ones. He's letting them do the talking. He's kind of, if you were to really look at him, he would just kind of be mumbling under his breath. He's just sitting there, kind of glower on his face, like he's not mentally present.
He
I
would,
like how Pepper's now social too.
right.
Right.
He would look up and he'd say, I am Benjamin. I used to be the head of the HARROW SPIRE's adventuring guild. I ran it. I was an ambassador to other cities and nations here. But lately everything up top went crazy, so I barricaded us in down here. Do you come from the top? Can you forgive me for this? I need to make sure you all are safe. Is that okay? And he taps his table, and this big circle, these ruins light up, and it's like this bright light coming from the floor, and you would feel the need to tell the truth as he casts Circle of Truth. You're allowed to resist it, obviously, but if you do, he knows you do. And he taps the table and goes, I cannot speak lies either within our circle. But I need to know, have any of you listened to the Goblin's song? None of you would have any idea what he's talking about.
I don't speak Goblin.
Yeah,
They sing it in a language that I don't know either, but it is one that has made everybody go crazy or become hungry. It is hard for me to tell. And while we are all hungry down here, it's not the same. It's like the hunger takes them over.
They eat each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. It is. And he would look like he is traumatized as well as he goes, it's terrifying.
I feel like just as like a gesture of like good faith, since we are, in this circle, we're telling the truth, trying to Charlotte would try to get on a good footing with these people. She would try to, give them the benefit of the doubt. Seeing as they are hungry, she would use her bounty of Flavortown channel divinity. And so she would do the create food and water on like a table in front of everyone. So she would be like, please, if you are hungry, eat.
How much food does this create?
Let me see what create food and water does.
It's fine. You make a ton of food, and
45 pounds of food and 30 gallons of water.
yeah, this is a ton of food for them. This is they're all sharing slop. So you make a bunch of food that is like fresh and beautiful and like just it smells wonderful. I think he would look at it and go, "Oh my god, oh, you are such a send from beyond. I we thank you so much." Um, and he would look at the bugbear and he'd say, "Shay Shay," and he'd like hit her back, and she'd go, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was asleep." Um, uh, "Oh, we have food! Oh my god!" And she would start like her big arm would like scoop something up and like start and look at it, and she'd go, "We have to bring this to everybody else and the animals."
Oh, you have little animals too?
Only our horses, and we are the adventuring guild. We had all the stables that we blocked off. Before they started to eat from the stables. So we have horses and some yeti and a bunch of things for the carts, and we have a couple lizard runners. And oh, hi, my name's Shay Shay.
Hi.
Shay Sha. Say, but it says it sounds like Shay Shay.
Shaysha. Okay.
Yeah.
Charlotte would be like, not to put anyone on the spot, but if you needed any of your animals looked at, she would say, we have an amazing animal caretaker here, Kara, who's fantastic with animals. So if we can be of help in any way, please let us know.
She gestures to the hedgehog.
Do you want to see some of the animals? Yeah, you could look too. Get food though if you need it first. And she would like lead you to down the hall, and there's like a little rafter part that you walk around, and then it comes into like just the stables, like horse stables, if you would, you know what I mean? And there are like rows of like horses. Some of them are dead, some of them are alive still. Most of them are malnourished. There are like these large riding lizards, and that look like they are ornery, but it's probably because they're super hungry. They're like dogs kind of doing the same thing, like just stables of animals at this point. Like not like Noah's Ark, but same idea.
Just side note, if anybody does decide to eat the food that I made, if y'all choose to, you would get 6 temporary. It's 1d8 plus 2. I rolled it, so you would get 6 temporary hit points if any of y'all want to eat it.
Benjamin would start talking to Shallot as other like goblinoids and things come in to get like plates and like stuff, like little families come in. There's like little, like they bring in kids, and the kids like pick out like little berries and stuff that they want from all this. And he would say, it was weird. This like traveling circus showed up. Yeah, everything was fine until like 2 or so months ago. And then this circus showed up, and it had some symbol on it. I know the symbol. I don't know how to I don't remember it well. If I saw it again, I would know. Had a symbol on their flag, and they said they were going to put on a show for the king. And they did, and everybody who was at the show just started talking about this dinner, this feast. We have to put on a feast, and it just, they started grabbing up anything they could from all around, and slowly anybody that was alive was now food too. And so I just barricaded the doors, and we cast lock on the front. Nobody can get in the front door of this place, and the only things that we know what's going on is Nolan has been going up top and stealing little bits of the stuff from the kitchen that's left, because they're not eating the food in the kitchen, they're just eating each other, things they grab up. And they're throwing all the spices in with the people they cook.
So weird.
But you're welcome to stay here, but I don't really know what we're going to do. If you guys need a way out, Nolan can show you how to get to the kitchen or that area. And it doesn't seem like anybody really it's like they can't see you till they do.
Right. That's what I was just about to say. If you've noticed that too, like, until we were up in their faces fighting them, they didn't even notice we were there.
Right. Or we could, there is a side entrance to this that leads to where we used to bring out the animals. To get outside, we could bring you there if you need to get out of this area.
Yeah, we would I don't know, like, would I have remembered that this guy is actually who he says he is just before I start divulging information about what we're trying to do?
He doesn't, I mean, if you want to roll insight on him, you wouldn't remember him.
That's not going to matter. It's a 3.
You were also standing in a zone of truth.
Yeah, you are standing in zone of truth. Like, he's not lying. You know that for a fact.
Yeah, I would feel like she would, say, we do, as much as I want to help you, which hopefully this food has, we have our own personal mission that we've been set out on by, and she would pause for a minute, just, by Dame Paprika, that we need to help the Lord. We have our own mission we have to accomplish, so yes.
No, yes, wherever we can bring you is fine.
What about haddocks? Wait.
Oh yeah, that would be good point, Pepper.
Do you have anything of haddocks?
Originally it was the armor. He gave her that spiked armor
Right.
because he, he's kind of twisted in that manner, but
right.
Okay.
Okay.
But that got taken, so
Yeah.
she
probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. Yeah, no, nothing. That's cool. No, I think he'd look at you, and if you need to save anybody else, we can bring you up to where the prisons are. That's what Nolan found you, I think, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go back there.
Yeah. It's understandable. The only way to get to the front gates again is to go out the side where we bring the animals and circle.
Bless you.
Thank you. And circle around.
Guys, I know we need to look for Sir Haddock and Sir Sage, but it's such a large place for us to search through. I don't even know where we would begin.
What if we get captured again?
Right.
There is food and water here now. Why don't you all take the night, or at least some time to rest and think before you leave?
I feel like Shallot at this point would kind of, since she directed questions to everyone, would notice how much thought. Like Wilbur's been kind of like not trying to be hateful to Wilbur, but he's pretty chill and pretty laid back and just kind of goes with the flow. But he's not usually this quiet. So she would kind of, nod to Benjamin and be like, "Thank you. We appreciate you letting us have a chance to kind of collect ourselves before we decide what to do going further." But she would try to pull Wilbur aside and be like, "Hey, are you good? Is everything okay?"
No, everything is not okay. Paprika and Gravlax were taken, and we couldn't do anything to stop it.
I know. But in my mind, really the only thing that we can do at this point for them is to keep pushing forward.
That's what they would say. That's
mean,
how they ended up. I'll go where you point. You were knighted, so you're the highest ranking one of us here. So I'll follow your lead, but we just need to find Haddock and Sage and see if it's not too late to get to Gravlax or Paprika. I know that's not realistic. But Gravlax took me in, and I refuse to leave him behind if there's anything we can do.
Just because I was knighted doesn't mean that I'm going to be making the decisions for everyone, Wilbur. I still want us all to make decisions together as a collective. And if you want to go back for them, then I feel like that's a solid plan. But we all need to sit together and realistically look at this and figure out what it's going to look like. Because we can't just blindly go into this trying to get them. We were already captured once.
I know that. I am aware. And I know that us walking back in there is foolish.
But I'm willing
Finding
to...
Sage and Haddock needs to be our first priority.
Okay.
And depending on the condition they're in, I'll make Sage and Haddock come with me to look for them if I have to.
So let's start there then. Let's start with that as the base for our plan and figure out what we need to do to make that happen without just blindly walking into a castle that we have no idea what's going on
Yeah.
Kara, roll me a perception
We just need to be
check.
stronger.
Roll what?
Roll me a perception check, Kara.
Fun. It's an 18.
You're used to looking for these things, but you're standing there, you're kind of listening to everything. You feel Barry perk up for a second, and then you see a little thing floating down from the roof as it makes its way to your shoulder and like lands on your shoulder and kind of crawls up. And you recognize this little guy. This is your sugar glider. This Spoodle.
Spoodle!
It looks at you and it's like, and its eyes are all bright. It looks for better or worse pretty happy with itself.
You know what? That's a discussion for later. We will discuss that later.
Sticks its tongue out at Barry.
Be nice. Be nice.
It looks and it shakes its head, and then as you say it, be nice, it goes and like pulls out like a whole almond out of its side of its cheek and offers it to Barry.
Probably a little too nice. Gonna look up towards where Spoodle came from.
It just looks like the this is a hall. This is like a nice area where like you would sleep if you were in the Adventurers Guild. and you would get the idea that you are standing inside the adventure guild of HARROW Spire, and you have no idea how the fuck Spoodle got here. Like, there is no version of how this little guy made it here. The last time you saw him, he was on Paprika's horse.
Does that mean Sir Ladle is here? Senor Ladle? I'm sorry.
It would look and it would think and shake its head no, and then point like up. And then it would look over at Barry and like they'd like talk for a second, and then Barry would put its hand out because Barry is the one who does all of the charades. And I'll roll performance, but I need you to roll perception. I rolled pretty good actually, so it's not that hard to see. Great. Roll 10. So Barry's gonna do a bunch of charades. And he's gonna be like, and then he's gonna make this little thing like the bridge, and he's gonna be like, and like try and be, and he's gonna do all the charades for, all the horses and all the things got taken to the stables outside and bound up, but Spoodle was hidden, so he got out and ran his way down here and followed one of the goblins down here.
Okay.
So Spoodle knows the way out.
Spoodle knows the way. Okay.
If he wanted to leave, but he likes this place and it's safe.
Spoodle, we can't stay here. Spoodykins, we have to go.
And then he goes like this, and he like tries to take you up the stairs to show you.
Okay.
And if you okay, so you follow him up the stairs, and he looks, and he like runs over, and he points under the bed. And there's like this like really low. You'd have to like move this big stone bed, and if you were able to move it a little bit, you would see that there's a big old bag of almonds under the bed, and that's where he's been eating on.
This is not what we're looking for, but good to know. I'm gonna grab the bag of almonds. Grab him too.
No, he just looks like so. He's like no, and he like goes to Barry and like tells him, and then Barry would look at you and he would do all the charades for he doesn't want to share.
You don't have to share. We can't stay here.
He just looks upset and like kind of pouts.
Why? Why? This is your bag of almonds.
Leans in and just hugs it.
Yeah. But we can't stay here, so I'm going to bring it with us.
And shakes his head.
I feel like dealing with the animals is more distressful than dealing with the humans.
I can see that.
Wait till you get all of them. And I have made different. We'll see.
Oh,
All
I
right.
miss Thorn. Where's Thorn? Spoodle, Spoody.
Oh.
So I'm gonna
Takes one of the almonds and puts it in its mouth.
I'm gonna head back to where these stables are. And why are there dead horses? Why did they not like roast the horses? Like it would at least be meat.
I think it's one of the things you should ask him,
Oh,
but it's not prevalent.
yeah. Like they were going hungry unnecessarily in Kara's mind, even though she doesn't eat meat.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we all staying here for a long rest, or are we striking out immediately?
I think Pepper needs a rest. Like she's probably in a ball at this point. You know, like gone from like 8 foot 4.2 inches to like 3 feet, and just like rocking back and forth, being like, I don't want to go back up. Like her remembering all like them eating each other, all the blood, guts, and gore, and she's probably just like mumbling to herself.
I think Nolan would show you to one of the rooms that are like it'd be a room for you guys, because the Adventuring Guild has like a bunch of different rooms that you could stay in. You know, like normally in between adventures or in between whatever. It's behind what is a bar. There's a couple things of like grain alcohol left, but not a lot of alcohol at all. Like you could grab a bottle and it would be something, but most of it is just they're just using it for like water drippings that they got here and there. But the room is open. It has some blankets and it's a place to sleep, and that's probably about it. It has a lofted section that like you could get some privacy in, but this is really it. Like this is kind of it's a big enough room that each of you could get your own little private, like nobody's staring at each other while they sleep type of thing. That being said, the second that Pepper goes into a ball, Spoodle is gonna like glide on over to her and try and bring her an almond.
That's so sweet.
Or like pluck it. They're like massive, like like feathers, just trying to pluck like this tiny little. She's just gonna like hold it and keep rocking.
Once Wilbur sees Pepper sit down, he's gonna also just walk off and find himself a corner and slump down and just kind of close his eyes and just take deep breaths and just kind of settle himself.
Yeah. Spoodle will just pat Pepper until she falls asleep. And then he'll probably take the almond back. It was just, unless you eat it. If you eat the almond, it's yours. But if you don't, then he takes the almond
She
back.
probably wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, he's going to take the almond back and be like, look around and just kind of put it in his mouth to keep for later. He's got 2 big almonds sticking out of his mouth now. Shallot and Kara, what are you all doing for your long rest?
I feel like for the first little part of it, Shallot would kind of set herself down and she would go to her notes to be like, okay, part of my daily routine, I need to make sure that Dame Paprika's helmet is where it's like things that she would normally do at night before she would long rest, and then she would realize, oh, I'm not doing that anymore, or at least right now. So she'd be very confused, and she'd probably be like, okay, well, I guess maybe I need to start planning what we're doing tomorrow, because she's not one to just rest. Like, she would have something to do before she would go to sleep.
I think that makes sense. Roll an intelligence check for me.
Come on, be good. Be a good intelligence check.
It doesn't need to be super high.
It's not at all.
Oh, okay. Well, then just, go through your notes and try and figure. I mean, you're kind of shaking. It makes sense.
Yeah.
Let's see what tomorrow brings for you.
Yeah.
Kara, what are you doing?
I am kind of just watching between Shallot and Wilbur, because this is interesting, because she had been in like the end part of the war with Sage, so she's kind of used to watching people's worlds get turned upside down. And that is what she's seeing happen for them right now. Pepper is in a constant state of her world getting turned upside down every time we go into a fight. So, and she's just, it's interesting to her to see how other people react to their life changing abruptly within minutes. And probably after a little bit, she just kind of like makes a nest for Barry to sleep in and lays down and tries to go to sleep because that's really all they can do right now.
Okay. Awesome. You rolled for it earlier. Phantom. Wilbur. Through thoughts and mumbles and your nightly routine, I guess I'm going to ask how you would like it presented. Is this you want me to give the full presentation, or would you like me to just tell you the outcome of the presentation?
Just the outcome.
There is a bleeding need for you. This divine quest, if you will, where you understand that in the back of your mind is just, man, you really want a copy. You really want whatever the cookbook is that this ogre king is using. It seems very important that you get it.
Okay.
Whether that be to stop something, it's just the cookbook, just all of a sudden, is just a goal.
I mean, that makes sense. Seeing how they're not eating the regular food.
Right.
And they're not using the stuff available to them. They're only eating the people. Yeah, I would want to know why and what. Yeah, Wilbur's definitely gonna make that a stop while we're here. He's not gonna bring that up right now. Like, he's gonna kind of contemplate on it. He's still sitting off by himself, but that's one of the things he's gonna be working towards. Is he needs to know more about why this is happening, because even before we saw this, he and Pepper were originally going to be sent off to the kitchens. So he needs to know more.
And I think through all that, sleep would take you as well. Y'all can long rest. And although you have no idea if it's day or night or what time it is ever right now, because you're just inside of a mountain, you wake up. It's been 8-ish hours. Isn't that just like the nature of like fantasy for you? You get a good 8 hours of sleep, and that's just a fucking lie to everybody. But anyway, like that's the fantasy of it all, yo. 8 hours of straight sleep. I couldn't imagine.
Restful sleep on top of that.
Right.
Completely restored.
New day, guys.
Literally having all your spoons back.
Yeah.
No, Nilla, I can't.
Must be nice.
Yeah, must be nice.
What is that mess?
I would trade knowing real magic for that.
Me too. 100%.
That is real magic.
It is. Maybe it is.
Okay. You guys get up, you look around, nobody's disturbed you. There's a sheet on the door now that has been put up so that you could have some privacy to the room you're in. You would notice that, like, in the doorway of your room, there is these these little bowls that have like fruits in them that Shallot you had made the night before, but they saved some for you all when you wake up.
Oh, sweet.
It would remind you of how adventuring guilds worked. The adventurers sleep, they're given a meal when they wake up, they are to set out on their next mission. It's a hospitality thing. It probably was Shay Shay's job, is the way you'd put it in your head, to be the hospitality manager of this place. It definitely was Benjamin's job. He's the one who ran the whole guild. So it's kind of like them keeping up with what they would know. Is anybody doing anything before you leave this area? You have to go back out to talk to Benjamin either way. I would say you can keep your hit points from the extra hit points from her food though.
Okay. I feel like Shout would probably just like go around to everyone with the fruit, make sure everyone gets something to eat, just kind of checking on everyone to make sure I know we're not okay. Like, she's aware of that. Like, we're not this terrible situation, but like reminding everyone, like, we're in this together. We've got each other. We've got each other's backs. Like, if there's anything you need, let me know.
Tell me a little bit about what's going on in your mind, Wilbur. You've had a lot.
Wilbur is like, as Shallot comes around, Wilbur just kind of nods. He's still pretty despondent. He's at a point where this is probably the most motivated you've seen Wilbur in a long time. Like, he's very much about, like, okay, we need to get this done. So he's still a little bit in denial over the events that happened yesterday. He's very much just like, all right, enough talking. Let's just get this done. So the more time we waste, the longer and the worse our situation gets. So he's still not very talkative. He's not really joking around with anybody. He's just like, we're up. Shallot's making her rounds. He's got his pack. He's like, all right, yeah, let's just go. Like, he's got his personal quest that he's looking out for, and he's just ready to get on the move. There's a little bit more light in his eyes than yesterday, but he's still just kind of despondent, and you can tell he's still not in a good place still. Like, the lack of light, the environment is just like, you can tell he makes jokes and he's really laid back because he doesn't do well in stressful situations like this. Like, he's always just kind of, whenever bad things happen, he always kind of makes a joke out of it. And the fact that he's going through all this and he's not making a joke out of it would probably hit you guys that he's really, really not okay at the moment. Because he's the guy that'll laugh anything off. He's the guy that's like, yeah, oh, I messed up or I'm in trouble. He's like, he'll make a joke out of it. He'll laugh it off. But right now he's very much has a purpose, and it's just like, all right, let's go.
So as Wilbur kind of like gets up and pushes in, like, for it all to happen, the other question I guess that there would be, because I mean, Kara, like you said, you're kind of, it's funny because out of all of them, you're probably the one that has the most experience with war, with lives getting pulled apart. Like you said, you've been there. Like, you're an animal handler, but I mean, that's like saying I was a wartime medic. You're a wartime animal handler. Like, you've been here the longest. You're probably not as battle hardened as, say, Shallot or Wilbur, but you have the most experience with this, with trauma, we'll say. Um, and then we go to the other side of that spectrum with Pepper, who probably doesn't have as much experience with trauma. So, my question for Pepper would be, everybody else is kind of like rallying at this moment, putting themselves in a mindset of the next steps. You're not a squire. You were picked by Haddock for some unknown reason to you and kind of plucked out of the world. And as far as you could tell, it's just probably because you were a bird that did something cool one time. And he was just like, yeah, that's the person. Come with me. And, you did go with him for whatever reason. And now you're just getting thrown into all this. This is the very first quest you were ever going to go on. And somehow this is where we're at.
Right. Pepper's definitely not rallying. She went with Haddock because she'd been studying, healing and medics and stuff like that, medicine in books. And she was told she needed real world experience. And so she went off to kind of go help that kind of at the end of um, the war. And she got there like pretty much when it was over. That was the idea, so that she could just help heal some of the people, get her real world experience, and kind of move on. And she stumbled upon Haddock, literally stumbled. Um, and so yeah, she just went with them, and he said it would be great. It's not great. He lied. Um,
I
so,
love it. It's not great. He lied.
and he did, and like he was like, you need armor, and then he stuck her with this spiked armor stuff, and she was already big and terrifying, and then she was just worried the armor made her look bigger and scarier, and he was like, you'd be a great medic, and it would just be awesome. So she's like rumbling through all these memories of like her time with Haddock. It hasn't been long, but she's kind of looking back and wondering if it's been a little more torturous than fun, but she still like misses him. Like he was still her person, that she followed and she came in with. And so she's very much worried about him. And at the same time, she's thinking, is she really a good healer? I mean, Dame Paprika died practically right in front of her, and her lesser restoration didn't do anything. Is she a healer? Haddock thought she was. She's spiraling, right? And now she has no idea where she is. And, just yeah.
In the middle of all that, roll me a history check for your memory.
Okay. 16.
You're going through these memories. Haddock has brought you places, and he's telling you about how you can be a healer, how you can be this great medic. He gives you this terrifying armor, and I think you'd remember him saying as he gave it to you, like, if you don't have to fight if nothing wants to fight you. He kind of giving you advice, and he always was kind of like very much on his own. Like we said before, he'd disappear for days and then show back up, and he would do these things. But he always took notice to whenever you were trying to learn to further your healing. It's kind of like those are and you pushed it a little bit harder, because it was almost like like a parent taking notice of a kid doing something that they were like their hobby. You know what I mean? It's like, oh man, I know that my dad likes baseball because it's the only time he talks to me, sort of thing, is when we're doing that thing. You know, like it's like that. It's like this is the thing that like he always took notice to. Lesser restoration. It specifically targets poisons.
Yes, it's poison, and let me read it. Conditions can be blinded, deafened, paralyzed, or poisoned.
And before you all left for this, one of the things he talked to you about is he said, we're going to be going through the teeth, and the like Longtooth Pass has a lot of these chimeras in them, and he told you about them and how their tails specifically have a type of poison to them that like slow the heartbeat. And he was making sure that you knew lesser restoration for when it happened, because that's his job. Whenever they get into a fight, his job is to make sure that he's the biggest one of all of them. He's got to do the strength thing. He's got to hold back the line. He's got to be the one that holds the chimera's tail down while they fight the thing. Like he's the newest one here, you know what I mean? Like he gets the worst job out of all of them in his mind. But it's what we do, because we're the birds of prey, not them. So you'd have these little memories going through it. But he definitely took a lot of notice to you learning how to deal with poison. All right. We're setting out. Outside of the door is a sleeping Nolan waiting for you all. Just this goblin, kind of like, if you could be drunk and passed out on the floor, this is this goblin strung across your doorway, just waiting for y'all to wake up so he could be, I'm awake. I was supposed to show you things.
Good morning.
Benjamin said to make sure Shay sees you off. And then I show you how to get to where you want to go.
Okay.
He like shakes. His head shake is more like a quiver than anything else. Like it's more like he has some kind of weird cold tick to him more than he does have a head shake. If he did have a rattle in his head, you probably could hear it. And so he just kind of shakes his head and then turns around and stumbles his way over to a door, and he goes, come on. And he goes, Shay. And this is the pink plushy bugbear waiting for you guys in this room. And this room would be the room that... This is where you would take your gear in the Adventurers Guild to be repurposed or to be retouched up. This is the room. So there is not a lot, but this is a room you could re-gear in before you have to leave. And Shay offers and says, we don't have a lot, but we're not going to use the armor anytime soon. If you all need anything, this is a place you can grab some stuff and maybe make your way out. And if you get home, maybe tell your kingdom about what's going on, and maybe they can come back for us.
Of course. We've got to try to find 2 others. Hopefully before we leave. But that'll be obviously on our list of priorities along with our mission from Dame Paprika. We're going to make sure that you all get out of here safely.
You all can so if you go into your equipment chart and just do whatever your basic starting equipment is, this would be where you get it all. So
Okay.
whatever starting equipment you could have, you could find here.
Great.
Shallot, you could go ahead and pick up a maul if you want as
Okay.
your versatile. But I think that if you wanted it to look like a giant cooking utensil, that would be fine.
Okay.
Great.
That works.
But yeah, you can just add whatever basic starting equipment is to your thing. This is what this is. This is the beginning of your all's journey, to say the least.
God.
And then Nolan kind of like watches, and Nolan goes, I'm gonna take one of these if I'm gonna go, and he like picks up like it is a kitchen knife, but for him it's a whole ass dagger, and he just kind of like puts it in his little, and like he has trouble putting it in his little sheath, and then he gets it in there, and his hand is all like quivery or whatever, and he's just like, okay, where are we going? Where do I gotta bring you? Am I taking you to like the stables, or am I taking you to the kitchen, or back to the prison? I know how to get everywhere in the castle.
I am sure you do. You are amazing at your job, Nolan. You're killing it. Buddy.
He blinks, but his eyes blink separately
Kill it.
as he blinks at you.
Um.
And he's a little bit cross-eyed.
Okay, I
I
guess now
think
that
we
we're
should
all,
go towards the kitchens.
yeah, I was gonna say now that we're all outfitted, and I feel a little bit better about ourselves.
Right.
She's
gonna like rub the spikes in her armor, just like lovingly, like remember.
We should make our way towards the kitchens. If Paprika and Gravlax were captured, knowing what we know, they probably would have been taken there. And if Sage and Haddock had been paying any kind of attention at all, they would know that's probably where they would have ended up too.
Right.
And if I know Gravlax like I know Gravlax, he's not going down without a fight. There's a non-zero chance this man has barred himself in the kitchen because there's plenty of sharp things he can use to stab people with. And that sounds like a very dangerous place to take him. In the prisons, he didn't really have much to fight with, but if they took him to the kitchens, they literally walked him into an armory for him to defend himself.
Can you imagine Paprika with a frying pan?
Yes.
I feel like I have seen that on one instance, and it was genuinely terrifying. So yeah.
If Sage and Haddock know anything, they would know that that's probably a good place to start.
I agree with Wilbur. That seems like a really solid plan. I feel like we need to know more about those instances of when they're able to perceive us but not perceive us, because I want to somehow figure out how to use that to our advantage. Maybe we can try to pay closer attention to that as we make our way up. Because, I mean, if we're just going to blatantly bust in there, we need to be ready for a fight. But if we could try to avoid it at all costs too, I wouldn't hate that either.
Nolan gets like excited. He's like, to the vents. We're going to go to the vents. I like the vents. It's warm there.
To the vents, buddy.
He like touches his face and like licks his fingers. Makes a weird face at it. He doesn't like the way it tastes. And then he goes, okay, to the vents. And then he like looks at Shay and goes, bye, Shisha. And she like pats him on the head. And he like holds his little knife, like you know how like knights rest their hand on their like the the scabbard of their sword or whatever.
The end of their sword
Yeah.
and just let it dangle.
That's what he does. He like rests his hand on his little knife and he's like like kind of walks out. He feels very powerful with his little knife. And he like waves to people as he goes, like, and then he looks at you and he's like, I wanted to be part of the Adventurers Guild when it was open. They told me no. He's like smiling.
I truly can't imagine why.
He just shakes a bunch. You guys get to like this boulder that is like stopped up this one room, and he goes, you just gotta get around here a little bit, and he slips into this hole none of you could fit in. Like, there's zero chance any of you could fit in this hole. He like barely fits in it, and he looks back and his little eyes are just like glowing at you, and he goes, oh, come on.
I don't think we can get in there, buddy.
Is another room.
Charlotte might be.
I just oh, and he like pops out, like pulls himself out of the hole, like he barely fits in this little hole. He goes, the vents are just in this room over here. And then he looks at Wilbur, goes, move the boulder.
Wilbur will do just that. He'll use his spell and just throw the boulder across the room with like no kind of gentleness. Like, it's more of just like a let's just get on with it, and just like flings his hand, the boulder goes flying.
Yeah, like the goblins, like you did the goblins. And now I would think that you would understand that Nolan is slightly sadistic. Like, there is a little bit to him that's like, he's just a little broken inside. And
Aren't we all?
And he kind of shakes.
Aren't we all?
He like twitches a little bit and shakes, and turns around. This room is a big open courtyard that leads into there's like a river of lava, and there's some you're like walking along one side of it, and if you were to look up, there are these long, it's almost like inverted spikes in the ceiling, and he explains that these are the vents, and the smoke comes out through the ceiling here. And he's like, you get to the top of the hill over there, and then you can climb up into the smoking area of the kitchen.
Okay.
Where all the meat is supposed to be. And I always go up there and I steal dinners for us, because they don't use it no more. It just has all the old, and he pulls out like a handful of like jerky, because that's what this area is normally used for, is like to use where all the jerky would be made, or all the like old smoked meat and stuff. But they're not eating that; they're eating all the live stuff.
Right.
So this is his way in and out of the kitchen.
Yeah.
Nolan, can I even fit through the vents? They seem like they're getting a little narrow.
Oh, on top of the one over, yeah. Gotta get up the hill. Again, that's a big vent. It's a stack